the 110 North is South LA, so going for you from Century Boulevard all the way to the 101. So I find this guy helps get there faster. I'm Nick Collier. This report is sponsored by BlindShirt.com. Hi, I'm Kyle at BlindShirt.com. Since 2010, BlindShirt sold millions of custom blind shades and sweaters to satisfied customers across the country. With 20,000 5-star reviews and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Custom blinds at low prices and free shipping. BlindShirt.com. On IC's Daily Game podcast, the cultural icon unveils words of wisdom and motivational quotes he's collected over the years. No hunches are pulled, as Ice shares a special brand of profound and brutal honesty on topics like romance, success, failure, and more. You can't sit back and say, I'm going to win this game and not go to practice. You still got to play that game. Faith and your mind is just not going to make it happen. Listen to IC's Daily Game on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcast. Bill Handel here, and if you have a legal question and you want no legal advice, you can call me right now, because I'll help you off the air. 877-520-1150. That's 877-520-1150. Colombian singer-songwriter Maluma. April 27th. I'm Bill. For over 35 years, Morgan has been to deliver more for our clients. Today, Morgan & Morgan has more offices, more staff, and more lawyers than any other injury firm in the world. Visit ForThePeople.com. Hey, all the people trust. Are you running out of hot water? Water Heaters Only has been specializing in the repair and replacement of water heaters since 1968. That's over 54 years as the original water heater specialist. So visit waterheatersonly.com for zero input financing. Terms and conditions apply. Request quick service or call to speak with a live operator 24 hours a day. Don't wait. Don't overpay. Visit waterheatersonly.com today. That's waterheatersonly.com. All the radio stations around every playlist, match your mood, the podcast that everyone's talking about. If it's on the iHeartRadio app, it's free. Download the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. When you go into the Kansas City hood, you can't get too high on the employees and have that let that last. There's nothing you can do. You can't even handle your money. Money goes into the box. The box goes into the bank. At Locale, they put your food in the box and slide out. There you go. Live 7 to 10 p.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app. Several people have been found dead in homes in the Big Bear area up in San Bernardino County. The sheriff, sheriff and coroner, Shannon-Dyke, says the total number of deaths has climbed, but at this point, he says at least 11 people died in the area since February 23rd, including those receiving care at Bear Valley Community Hospital. And he said some of those could be directly related to snowstorms, but it's not clear. One for sure, there was a traffic accident, but in terms of the others, they're not certain, and they won't know until they get more information on the circumstances of those deaths. The bodies of 2 Americans who died after a kidnapping in Mexico last week will be returned to the U.S. today. An autopsy was performed in Mexico. A second one will be done after the transfer. They're part of a greyhound we reported to that crossed the border for a medical procedure last Friday. They were caught in crossfire between rival gangs before they were kidnapped. 2 other Americans were found alive outside Matamoros yesterday and were brought to Brownsville, Texas. Listen, President Biden is planning to travel here to Southern California next week. He's specifically going to stop in Monterey Park, the scene of that shooting in January. Call for tougher gun control measures after the shootings throughout the United States. They'll also visit San Diego on Monday and then come up here on Tuesday. In San Diego is supposed to meet with British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and Prime Minister Anthony Albanese of Australia, and his West Coast swing in Nevada. Tiger Woods' ex-girlfriend, Erica Herman, we told you yesterday, went to court this week to try to get out of the NBA. And while she was gone, he lost her out. They say this is a messy and shocking split. News of the split only emerged yesterday when details surrounding their months-long legal battle, which so far we hadn't heard about, surfaced. As she tried to toss out that NDA she signed back in 2017. I got a lot of questions. I got a lot of questions about why somebody would enter a relationship like this if there was that much red tape involved.
Well, I think that high-profile people often have the people close to them sign these kinds of things, just so that they don't run to, page 6 and talk about all your predilections.
And especially Tiger Woods, since so much of his life became very, very public.
Right.
I remember where I was. I was at my sister's house in Chico when the night before he had run his car into the fire hydrant or the tree or whatever it was while he was trying to get away from me. And that's not fun. I question, though, so the idea of signing an NDA if you're in a relationship with a guy doesn't surprise me. These other things that have come out about what Erica Herman had to do. So he actually filed a landlord complaint saying that people that work for him used trickery to get her out of the house. Convinced her to pack a suitcase for a short vacation, so that when she shows up to the airport, they then call her and say, by the way, you're locked out of the house, you can't go back. He claims that was a violation of the oral tenancy agreements they had and in violation of Florida law. Tiger paid for a hotel room and certain expenses for a short period of time and, quote, frightened her away from returning to the property. So my question is, in this filing, he claimed they had an oral agreement that ensured that she could live at the mansion for 11 years.
And that she had 5 years remaining when he called it quits on their relationship. They say that Tiger's workers subsequently removed her personal belongings, took $40,000 in cash that belonged to her. Now, based on the time left in the 5-year tenancy, she argued in court papers she was entitled to compensation of roughly $30 million.
If you, woman, were in a relationship with a man and at various times of canoodlement and romance, he said to you, do you want to move in? And you're like, that's great. I think we're at that point, and I think this is a good move for us, our relationship. And he's like, you got 11 years. And you say, what? And he says, you have 11 years. I'll allow you to live here for 11 years.
It seems very fishy, doesn't it?
It's not only is it fishy, it's
I've also never been in a relationship for money, if that's what this was. Where I know that there are relationships that exist where they have terms like that. Like if you're in a relationship because you are going to be taken care of.
So it's a business of
Exactly. Right.
Now, Tiger's attorney fired back in court that he was the one who removed her belongings after Tiger chose her and told her she was no longer welcome at the house. Argued that Erica couldn't claim she was a tenant because oral tenancy agreements under Florida law are only good for less than 1 year, which I also didn't understand. I mean, the idea that he would orally agree to her being in the house is one thing. Yes, you can move in, or even asking her to move in. But then somehow putting a time limit on it doesn't make any sense to me. Now, this is not the first NDA that Tiger...
No, they hand these things out like candy, you know? He had his mistress, remember Rachel Uchitel? He had her sign one, and she says that it ruined her life, left her unable to defend herself from public attacks on her character. He said being forced to cover up his bad behavior left her unable to get a job or shake off the scandal, ultimately led her to going bankrupt after he repeatedly pursued her in court.
Now, in her case, in Rachel's case, it makes a little bit more sense that this is a hardship for her because she said she was really forced into this after the affair became public, as opposed to Erica Herman, who signed the NDA voluntarily when she got into the relationship in the first place.
She said there was an abusive nature in getting me to sign that NDA to keep me quiet, and there was abusiveness in keeping me quiet for 14 years after. Although her affair with Woods happened 14 years ago, she said her daughter, Wyatt, who's 10, has been taunted over the incident at school, and that she remains angry that Tiger's been able to reboot his career while she took the blame for ending his marriage to Elam.
I don't understand what he's claiming he's preventing her from doing.
Well, I don't know. I think she's clearly trying to continue to maybe pursue legal action by saying that her daughter, who's 10, gets taunted at school. Nobody knows who Rachel Uchitel is in 2023. You know what I mean? I mean, that ship was sailed a long time ago. Certainly 10-year-olds aren't running around saying, you know, you broke up Tiger Woods' marriage. Come on.
Yeah, especially if it's 14 years.
But if you can prove your kids in emotional distress, then maybe you get a little bit of cash kickback.
Update when we come up next about the LAPD shooting from yesterday. 3 officers hit and in the hospital. We'll give you the updates on what we know so far. Gary and Shannon will continue right after this. You can find us on your smart speaker or on your dumb speaker if you plug it into something smart. I'm not plugging it into you. Hey, smart speaker. Say, play KFI AM 640. KOST HD2.
Los Angeles and County.
Live everywhere on the Radio app.
They'll recover. I'm Jennifer Jones Lee live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. The LAPD says a man who shot 3 officers during a standoff in Lincoln Heights is dead.
Commander Cincy Bell says it's not known if the man shot himself. Bell says officers were making contact with a parolee at large yesterday afternoon when he barricaded himself inside a shed. That's when K-9 units were called in. You know that they deployed the gas, and after the gas was deployed, then the suspect opened the door, fired upon the officers, and the officers returned fire. The officers were taken to USC Hospital. SWAT was called in, and they deployed 2 robots. One of which discovered the dead body. Bell says they declared a citywide tactical alert as a precaution. In Lincoln Heights,
At least 12 people have died in the San Bernardino Mountains since the snowstorms rolled in.
The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department says so far only one of the deaths was resulted from a traffic accident. It's confirmed weather-related. The department says early information does not indicate the other deaths are related to the storm, but investigations are ongoing. Communities in the mountains continue to dig out from the snow. Rain is expected tomorrow and could cause some challenges. The added weight from this rainfall may potentially lead to some additional structural collapses. National Weather Service meteorologist Brian Adams says minor flooding is also a concern. Boyd Troll and KFI News.
San Juan Capistranos responded to NIMBYism by starting on an almost $50 million new city hall that includes 49 units of permanent supported housing.
The public-private project was cobbled together with city, state, and federal money. Mayor Howard Hart says that's 2 problems addressed because the temporary 50-year-old city hall will finally be replaced. We're saying yes, not only in our backyard, but we're putting it literally in the backyard of our city. Up Jamboree Housing CEO Laura Archuleta says about 30% of the homeless have mental illness and 30% struggle with addiction.
But the housing, 100% of the people that are homeless need a place to live. So let's start there. And then you can bring in the services.
Crews broke ground yesterday with completion expected late next year in San Juan Capistrano. 4 big cars in KFI.
An attorney in Virginia says the 6-year-old boy accused of shooting a teacher at school will not be criminally charged. The attorney announced yesterday he does not believe the law supports charging and convicting a 6-year-old with aggravated assault. Now, the criminal education took the gun to school January 6th and kept it in his backpack. The gun was purchased by his mom. The teacher was shot in his chest and was in the hospital for more than a week. White supremacist propaganda in the U.S. has reached an all-time high. And in fact, the Anti-Defamation League said there were more than 6,700 reported incidents of hate last year. That's a 38% increase from 2021.
The ADL Center of Extremism tracking in-person white supremacist gatherings and the mass distribution of racist and anti-LGBTQ messages on flyers, stickers, banners, posters, graffiti.
ABC's Nick Packer says the ADL even tracked laser projections on buildings and sports stadiums. The ADL says reported incidents of explicitly anti-Semitic propaganda more than doubling.
I am determined to make this right.
The Senate Environment and Public Works Committee is hearing from the CEO of Norfolk Southern about what went wrong during the train derailment in Ohio. Officials conducted a controlled release of toxic chemicals from the derailed train last month.
Norfolk Southern will clean the site safely, thoroughly, and with urgency. You have my personal commitment.
Norfolk Southern CEO Alan Shaw says he's sorry for how the derailment has impacted people who live in East Palestine. The company has made a $20 million commitment so far to help the community recover. Talk about your flight delays.
The Biden administration is soon to stop a potential merger between low-cost airlines, JetBlue, and Spirit. Ross Blocking the merger should not be a surprise, though. The Biden administration has a strong policy plan that is anti-mergers, aka consolidation, within an industry that could cause consumer harm. And you can almost see the next draft. Kroger wants to merge with Albertsons. Here's the pinch. Airlines and grocery stores are very similar. They both have a very tight profit margins. They both have high physical costs, labor costs, and stiff price competition. Jason Middleton, KFI News.
And Hershey's is launching vegan research. Hershey says it'll still taste like milk chocolate, but its creamy products will be dairy-free. Reese's plant-based peanut butter cups and a vegan chocolate Hershey bar with almonds and sea salt. Both are made with oats instead of milk. The new Reese's will be available across the nation later this month. The new Hershey bar is set to hit store shelves in April. News Team, KFI News.
We're going to look at your drive with KFI in the sky in just a moment.
If you're hurt in an accident, besides your car damage, the injury from the accident can have a ripple effect on your life.
Yes, we do accident attorneys know all too well what injured victims have to go through. Your injuries can keep you from everyday activities, including work.
Not to mention having to live with that pain. That's why the attorneys at Pete Gaines have devoted their lives to helping injured clients.
They're going to help you get the medical treatment you need so that you can heal. They're going to help you get the money you deserve so that you can financially recover.
And they're going to treat you with compassion along the way. Pete Gaines has one mission: help hurt accident victims get better physically, financially, and emotionally.
That's what they've been doing for 18 years. They've recovered over $1 billion for clients. They've been awarded best attorneys in America.
You pay nothing until they win, so if you're hurt in an accident, call Pete Gaines.
800-500-5200. That's 800-500-5200. Or go to PeteGaines.com.
Taking a look at your KFI financial report, sponsored by Jacoby and Myers. The Dow is down 63, S&P is down 9, NASDAQ is down 44, and the average price of a gallon of unleaded gas in California, $4.93. But wait, maximize your compensation after an accident. Call Jacoby and Myers now. Get this for you since 1972. SoCal weather from KFI. Gray today. We've got the showers rolling in after midnight. Staying with us until about Saturday morning, tapering off to just a gray weekend. But this storm is going to be with us for about 24 hours, tapering with the gusty winds. We do have avalanche warnings above 5,000 feet. That's because the snow level, it looks like it's going to be above 10,000 feet, which means that all the spring we've got coming in with this Pineapple Express could melt a lot of the snow, and they're worried about mudslides. But now 52 in Lagoon and Miguel, 54 in Brea, 56 in Downey, and in Mission Hills. Let's get a look at your drive to KFI in the sky, and we're looking at Anaheim.
That issue's going down for you as you're doing westbound along the 91. Right around the same river lifestyle is regular middle lane. That's a majority of busy drive for you coming out of as far back as Riverside. This is the slowing for you as you're westbound from before off the air. I'm just seeing a bit of a slowdown for you on the eastbound side out the 91. That'll be busy for you coming through Anaheim from Harbor Boulevard here on the 57. And as you're making it towards the 55 and the 55 southbound, still some patchy delays here and there out of Orange from Catella. As you make it past the 22 and the 5, as well as the 405, heading towards 273. In fact, even past beyond the coast of Minnesota in 24 feet. Got an update of something slowing you down, down to 15 or cell phone anywhere, KFI traffic. Still slow going for you on the northbound side of the 405 through Ellistown, so you're leaving along Eastern Palo Verde. Patchy 3 drive to the south side toward Rosecrans Avenue. Further northbound on the 405, busy for you again from Century Boulevard as you continue through West LA towards Santa Monica Boulevard. Southbound side of the 405, busy as well out of the San Fernando Valley from Sherman Way as you make way back to West LA towards Sunset. KFI in the sky helps get to that faster. I'm just telling you,
At Euthanex, we don't believe in cold and flu season. We only believe in comeback season, which starts with 12-hour relief. Just one dose of Euthanex DM provides 12 hours of relief for cough and chest congestion day or night. That's 3 times longer than those 4-hour cough liquids. So say goodbye to cold and flu season and hello to comeback season with Euthanex DM. Nothing lasts longer among over-the-counter cold and cough medicine. Get relief that lasts with Euthanex DM. Use as directed.
call Service Champions for an $88 precision heater tune-up or visit ServiceChampions.com.
KFI.
More stimulating talk.
And I'm our radio station. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app, Thursday, March 9th, 2023. We will be talking tech with Mark Schultzman coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. Strange science hits you in the noon hour, including maggots and leeches used in medical treatment. Medieval medicine is back.
Yes, have fun with lunch. Have fun with lunch. Biden administration is set to propose a series of tax increases for wealthy Americans and large corporations. New budget request to Congress to be released today includes a 25% minimum tax on the richest hundredths of 1% of Americans. 0.01% of Americans. The new budget would close a loophole that allows the wealthy investors with pass-through businesses to avoid paying taxes on their investments. It also increase the top tax rate for Americans making $400,000 a year from 39.6% from 37%, which is what the Trump administration put in place.
Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley wants to change the retirement age for young people. She said so during an event in Iowa while talking about entitlement programs, Social Security, Medicare. Her campaign will not tell anybody, though, what that specific age she has in mind. She said nothing can be taken away from folks relying on those programs right now. She also said President Biden wants to raise taxes to deal with, only wants to raise taxes to deal with the entitlement programs. We'll have all the latest news coming out of Washington when we dive into Swamp Watch coming up in an hour.
Speaking of retirement age, by the way, France is on fire. The French Senate voted today to raise the retirement age by 2 years, officially 2 years, to 64 instead of 62. The conservative-dominated legislative body voted in favor of this article to raise the retirement age 201 to 115. They're going to debate it, continue. The Senate majority is trying to meet the deadline at midnight to finalize the legislation. There have been countrywide protests about raising the retirement age 2 years.
3 Los Angeles police officers were shot last night. A suspect was dead following a confrontation in the city's Lincoln Heights area. We have the latest as it was happening here on KFI and continue to get updates from Chief Gregory out there in the field. It happened about 6 p.m. North Broadway at Mission Road. All 3 officers are expected to survive.
This is the way they described it at the news conference late last night. Earlier this afternoon, officers are calling back to this and received a call to an area of 3,800 blocks of Broadway. The officers responded to the area and conducted a search for investigation of a parolee at large. During the subsequent investigation, officers came across the individual who refused to comply to the command, and a request for K-9 officers was requested for Metropolitan Division. During the subsequent search, officers encountered the individual and utilized some gas to try to get compliance from the individual. Again, the suspect refused. At one point during the search, the suspect exited and fired at the officers, wounding 3 officers who are now listed in stable condition. They're just behind me. Eventually, they sent a couple robots in, and one of the robots found the guy on the ground with at least 1 hole. So there's the ongoing discussion. Did the officers provide that?
I'm going to vote yes. A guy like this does not kill himself. I don't want to ruin the narrative because I'm pro-law enforcement. But it doesn't seem like this guy would shoot at officers and then kill himself. That does not hold water. That's not the personality type.
I would think it's very pro-law enforcement to suggest that even under fire they were able to get this guy and put a couple of...
I have no problem with them taking credit.
The good news is that the 3 officers are said to be in stable condition, not life-threatening injuries. They'll all be better, and that is incredible news, thanks to the work of the other officers that were on the scene. And we'll find out more, we all assume, about this guy's criminal history. We do know that he had a record, pretty lengthy record, just in January, they were charged with battery on a police officer, that's a surprise, and possession of a firearm by a prohibited person in connection with an incident late last year. He had been convicted of 2 felony counts of robbery connected to incidents in 2019, sentenced to 4 years in prison for the first count, a year in county jail for the second one. In 2014, he was convicted of selling methamphetamine, and here he was, out and about, just hanging out with guns. Now, the side note to all of this, the side note to these 3 officers who very dutifully ran into harm's way to protect that neighborhood, this moron shows up at the news conference. Today has been a very busy day for LAPD. This guy is still representing the 14th district in the city of LA, Kevin DeLeon.
Is he just running from crisis to crisis?
Here's the thing.
FaceTime?
Law enforcement in harm's way. He's like, wait a minute, there's got to be a television camera here somewhere.
As you may know, earlier this morning in the neighboring city of Alhambra, there was a SWAT operation where they captured the suspect who presumably had killed young Javier Saladin, 17-year-old, last week Friday. Obviously today, Metro Division has been very, very busy. We're thrilled. We're more than happy this happened in City 14 Lincoln Heights, that the suspect has been apprehended.
He was picked up off of the ground with a giant hole in him. Now, what did Kevin DeLeon give to the people of the 14th district by showing up at that news conference and chewing up oxygen?
Nothing. He keeps texting and pouring.
It was the most egregious form of people hate you. You're going to take advantage of the fact that there are television cameras out there and 3 officers in the hospital, not to mention, and you're going to come out there, you're going to only state the obvious.
Well, they must have been busy today, these Metro Division officers, and they apprehended somebody else today. That was good, and this is good, because they apprehended the suspect here, too.
Guess who's got the COVID? No, we'll get on it.
I don't care.
Yes, you care. It's important.
I say bring back HIPAA. Where's HIPAA when you need it? I don't care who's got the COVID these days. Certainly not Gavin Newsom. I was going to say a bad word, and I didn't. Good for me.
And the great for me. Good.
Yeah.
You know, the growth over
Look
there.
at this growth. By the way, what is wrong with your hand? You have like a sore.
Here,
Yeah, what is that?
I burned my thumb putting wood in the stove over the weekend.
Is that a real story, or is that a story you came up with?
No. It's the stove, you lean over and I put the fire in the
Because like, that's the kind of sores that like drug addicts have.
Can you see that thing?
Ew, you know what I mean, on their hands? And it does, like,
Yeah,
it's kind of like a hot rails injury.
on my frickin' knuckle on my thumb.
You're holding your hot rails right here, and then you've got the lighter. So the lighter, yep.
And it burns
Right actually.
on the inside.
Is there something you want to tell us? We'll do that after the break.
All right, let's sort of show each other our stores and then describe where they came from.
Advocate Co.
Coming up next. Wait, what?
What? Advocate Co. Okay, we're going to get more information on that. No, I promise I really do. I know, I can't wait. You'd like to make that up. Get up to as the news. All right, the biggest nuclear power plant in Europe is without power after Russian missile strikes. President Biden will roll out his budget proposal during a stop in Philadelphia, and this year's top Oscar nominees will each get a gift bag full of goodies. $125,000 each bag can have. The Oscar swag bag will have 60 items in it, including silk pillowcases, edible massage oils, and a coupon for free liposuction. This is that weather from KFI. It's a great day ahead. Temperatures will be in the 50s and 60s. The rain should start after midnight, lasting into Saturday. Let's get a look at your drive with KFI in the sky in the 405.
Better keep going on with the time just go around on the northbound side in West LA, right around Santa Monica Boulevard. It's a crash that has the right lane step down. That's why you're seeing that, especially when you drive on the northbound side of the 405. So before Century Boulevard, overall, the 405 northbound still packed before you come out Long Beach, much far back as Palo Verde. Also seeing delays for you really for going for the ride in New City, LA, the westbound side of the 10 from Western as you head to the 405 due to those 405 northbound delays, and even before that, coming out of downtown as you make way into the city, still going for the drive of the 60 and west as you make way past the 110. KFI in the sky off to the faster. I'm the Collier team. On the podcast Really Know Really, join best friends Jason Alexander and Peter Tobin, along with experts, newsmakers, and celebrities, in a search for answers to life's most baffling, intriguing, and annoying questions. You know, those things that make you go, really? Now, really? I think there was a 17-year-old in Rhode Island who ran a candidate that was a beeper.
Really? Wait, that's news to me. That's Really Know Really right there.
Really Know Really. Listen to Really Know Really on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome to Pray.com, the Restless Hope Podcast, a show that will help you love your life, lead with purpose, and leave a legacy of helping others.
God can do anything. And He took this girl from peace into the true joy and true freedom.
Listen to Pray.com's Relentless Hope on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. This is Jacob and Ron. If you've been involved in a motorcycle accident, call 844-24-JACOB. Running out of hot water? Visit waterheatersonly.com. Quick service, friendly technicians, low prices.
Injured in an accident? Visit superhomesuperlawyer.com.
Well, the government's really clunky here. We put in the call to ask for resources, and they're very accessible, and they're listening. What is with all this double speak and gobbledygook? Well, we have to make sure everything is in order and arranged and lined up, and we have to go now. John and Karen, people need help now. Live 1 to 4 p.m. on KFI, and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. You hear about Alex Murdaugh, however you want to say it. He's been placed in the secure area of prison. They believe he's a target for inmates due to his infamous nature, post-high-profile trial there. They believe that other inmates may want to take him down a few notches. Of course, he's serving 2 life sentences after being convicted of murdering his wife and 22-year-old son. He's behind bars at the Kirkland Correctional Institution in Columbia, South Carolina. He is in a single cell.
He was never a prosecutor, right? It was his dad and grandpa, I think.
Right, he was on the civil side. Yeah, but he's come from a long line of prosecutors. His single cell is made of concrete with a steel bed, toilet, and sink.
Lucky. President Biden is coming through California next week. On Monday, he'll be in San Diego. On Tuesday, he's going up to Monterey Park. The scene of the shooting at that dance studio back in January is going to call for tougher gun control measures. He'll then go to Nevada before he makes his way back into D.C. Russia launched a massive barrage of missiles and drones that hit residential buildings and critical infrastructure across Ukraine. At least 6 people were killed, and once again, hundreds of thousands of people without heat or electricity.
We have a storm headed this way. Torrential rain, potentially. It will be warmer rain, but people that have been hammered by all the snow are going to maybe be targets for dangerous flooding. CNN meteorologist Tad Myers warning if you have feet of snow on your roof, all of a sudden it's going to get very, very heavy. The snow is going to absorb the rainfall, and then boom.
Did he say that? Did he slap his hands and say boom?
He did not.
This is not great in terms of especially those places in the Central Valley along the Sierra Nevada foothills, because they will see flooding. It's sort of a guarantee because it's going to be warmer. The snow level is going to be up around 6,000 or 8,000 feet. And the rains that we've already seen, there's a handful of showers that have made their way sort of in the San Luis Obispo County area. And by very late tonight, early tomorrow morning, basically it'll be raining when you drive to work tomorrow. And then tomorrow, at least here in Southern California, it's not going to get crazy in terms of the amount of rain. The snow levels are going to stay at normal level, but for those places that you already have too much snow, it's just causing problems.
It will be a good work from home day tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you can.
So there's still some criticism about San Bernardino County and the mountains up there. Hikers were stranded. People were posting on social media about family and friends that were stuck in cabins that didn't have a way out. The sheriff's department was delivering freeze-dried meals. People were running out of food, but couldn't get to everyone because of some of the closed roads. The the update from Shannon Dykes, the sheriff/coroner of San Bernardino County, is that they have found bodies. They know that there have been some people who died over the course of the storm, but only one that they can officially attribute to storm conditions, and that was because of a traffic accident. At least 4 people found dead in their homes in Big Bear area. The first one on March 2nd. The total number is expected to be somewhere around maybe 12 or 15. Sheriff Dykes said that at least 11 people had died in that area since February 23rd when the rains really started and snows, of course, including those who were receiving care at Bear Valley Community Hospital. The office, the sheriff's office, has not yet provided a lot of information yet on the circumstances involved, still reviewing their cases. And there's at least some pushback. Sheriff Dykes is saying, you guys want to harp on the things that aren't happening. Yes, there are some areas that haven't been plowed yet. But let's talk about the other things that have been happening, where 911 calls are being responded to. Fire and sheriff and all these emergency law first responders have been working around the clock to make sure that everybody is safe.
I just think that this is kind of misleading the LA Times, the way the LA Times puts it.
What? That's such a surprise. The LA Times with the...
There's something about this storm and what went on up there that has just gotten the snowball treatment to the TRILLIONAIRE when it comes to media coverage. It's a storm providing snow in the mountains during the winter. Why is everyone acting like this is the Turkey earthquake?
Well, there is an aspect of it.
There's a body count now with people that would have died regardless.
Right. But we see that in all kinds of situations, and there's an aspect of it that is, I hope it's not the case. Somebody at the LA Times knows somebody who was stuck in a cabin.
Right.
And then that lit a fire under someone who said, oh, this is bigger than we're recognizing.
Or people that are going on social media and seeing, Tom, Dick, and Harry or whoever just say, yeah, we're stuck up here. And then it's like, oh, well, Tom, Dick, and Harry, there's 3 guys. They're stuck in a cabin. There must be so many more people stuck when, you don't know what you're getting on social media, if it's accurate, if it's true.
And that's the hard part about any kind of story like this, because how many... Let's just make up a number and say 10,000 people live in and around Big Bear, in those mountains. 10,000 people. If you've got 100 people who are stuck in their homes, that's still plenty of people who are stuck in their homes. But you're discounting the 9,900 others who are not stuck in their homes. They're not at risk. They're not threatened by this snowstorm. They had preparations. They had generators. Because they live in the mountains. But there's an aspect of it that's hard to quantify, because everybody wants to talk about the absolute pain that is, or the fear that comes from being cut off from the rest of the neighborhoods or the rest of the community. So I don't, in terms of people blasting the sheriff's department, I think it's really ridiculous for them to do that, because I guarantee you, if you're locked in, you're going to be absolutely ecstatic when the sheriff's department comes knocking on your door to come pull you out. You're not going to say, no, you guys missed it. And I was scared 2 weeks ago, but I'm not scared anymore.
Speaking of weather, did you see that weather forecaster, the meteorologist in Houston, and his weather reports and the creative way he does them? I love that. I love a little creativity in my weather forecast.
The guy who uses Snoop lyrics?
Yes. So good.
Yeah. I don't know why more people don't do that with the weather.
Right. Have a little fun. It's not just for tight dresses. Usually they look incredible in those dresses. But there's more you can do with that space.
Yeah, that's a very LA thing, I think.
Yes. Oh, it totally is. Okay. Sometimes I go to other cities, in this great country, like Cleveland or Cincinnati, not to pick on Ohio. But listen, we are very lucky with the visuals we see here in Los Angeles.
From the depths of the sea back to the block, so that's how it looks now. To keep up with the forecast. Follow me. I'm pretty soon we'll step through the fog, we'll creep through the smog, and we'll be able to see a little bit of sun popping out this afternoon. Forecast and the accurate meteorologist. Guess what? He is I, and I am him. We're going to be warm and humid with highs in the 80s. It's like that. And as a matter of fact, rat-tat-tat-tat, we've got a front that's knocking on our door.
So I guess people challenge him to do it, and then he puts it together.
I love it.
All right, come up next. Gavin Newsom test positive for COVID. Oh, and we finally know what he was planning when he said that he was done with Walgreens. The lieutenant governor, what's her name?
Elena.
I'll give you half a point. Elena Sunilaki. He comes out and explains that they don't like it when states put pressure on big businesses. So to respond, he's putting pressure on big businesses. We'll explain.
Jerry Senator continued. Deborah Mark in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. The LAPD says the man who shot 3 officers in Lincoln Heights has been found dead. Commander Stacy Phelps, the man was a parolee guard, and when officers made contact with him yesterday, he barricaded himself inside a shed. Officers shot tear gas inside. The man opened the door and opened fire.
Doctors then returned fire. As a result of that, 3 officers from the Metropolitan Canine Unit were struck.
He said the officers were taken to a hospital with serious injuries. The SWAT team was called in, and it was one of their robots that found the body of the man on the floor. It's not known if the man shot himself or was hit by other officers' gunfire. A Norfolk Southern train has derailed in Alabama. This morning's derailment came just hours before the company's CEO apologized before Congress for another train derailment in Ohio.
The company says there have been no additional reports of injuries or of any hazardous materials released.
ABC's Justin Fink says the train left Atlanta this morning and was heading west to Mississippi. It derailed in Piedmont, Alabama, about 15 miles from the Georgia border.
I know his wife very well, and I know he's hearing the best one here.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has fallen at the Waldorf Astoria in Washington and was taken to a hospital to be treated. Massachusetts Democratic Senator Ed Markey says he wishes McConnell a quick recovery.
He's a tough guy, and I'm sure that they'll come through this very easily.
McConnell was attending a private dinner last night in Trick. Someone claiming to be the drug cartel in Mexico that is allegedly responsible for the abduction of 4 people from the U.S. has condemned the violence. 2 of the people kidnapped in Mexico were found dead Tuesday. The other 2 were held captive for days before they were rescued. In a letter obtained by the Associated Press, the Scorpion faction of the Gold Cartel apologized to people in Mexico and the families of those who were kidnapped. The letter says the cartel has decided to turn over those directly involved in the violence. Southland weather from KFI, partly cloudy, highs in the mid-60s to around 70 for Metro LA, mid-60s to around 70 for the San Gabriel and San Fernando Valley, low to mid-60s in the Antelope Valley, upper 60s inland Orange County, upper 60s to low 70s in the Inland Empire, and the rain is coming in overnight, and it will be a rainy Friday. Right now, 60 in Seal Beach and 64 in Ladera Ranch. We're going to go back on the 10 in downtown LA.
Certainly happening with the time on the westbound side before Hoover heading toward mid-city. 2 right lanes are blocked, and that's having a busy drive there. Come out to 60 westbound. And you leave right now onto the 10 west Santa Monica Freeway. I'm the latest going to stick around ahead for you. Further westbound on the 10 from western through mid-city into West LA to the 405, and also single left for you drive on the 405 northbound. Ongoing issues for you as you make way to the West LA area. And back around Santa Monica Boulevard, just pass it in the right lane, and that'll be a slow-going drive for you from the car back down to 105. To find the sign up particular faster, I'm Nick Collier.
Americans pay about $5 billion a year to control termites and repair the damage. More than floods, earthquakes, and hurricanes combined. Call Pacific Coast Termites at 800 Pacific for a free home inspection. Certain restrictions apply. No fencing ever. Call 800 Pacific. 800 Pacific. Visit PacificCoastTermites.com. Call 800 Pacific.
Friendly wave. If yours is less than $30,000 in 2022, you can get money back to help pay for the things you need. See if you qualify at CalEITT, the number 4news.org. Don't miss out. File your taxes today.
At Ralph's, shopping with pickup and delivery is the same as shopping in store. Same low prices, deals, and rewards on the same high-quality items. One small trip for groceries, one big win for busy families everywhere. Start your cart today at Ralph's. ROTHSCHILD.com. Well, fresh for everyone. Just a single price we'd like to be there.
Fresh fruit makes for a delicious sweet treat. 18-ounce containers of simple juice organic blueberries are $4.99 with your card. Ralph, fresh to everyone.
Heart failure, carpal tunnel syndrome, or distress, stomach issues, lower back pain. How does it all add up? If you have heart failure and any of those seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, it's time to talk with your cardiologist and get the full picture. It may add up to transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy. ATTR-CM is a rare and underdiagnosed disease. Recognize the signs and discuss them with your doctor's team. Learn more at connectwithyourheart.com. That's connectwithyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Get ready to celebrate your favorite podcasts at our iHeart Podcast Awards. Tune in to the best podcast, take home awards in categories like comedy, crime, pop culture, and more. Watch on iHeartRadio's YouTube channel and Facebook page, and listen on iHeartRadio Tuesday night at 9. Considering an EV for yourself or your business? Consider the benefits of subscription. I'm Scott Caesar, CEO of Autonomy, where an EV subscription is like a lease but way more flexible. It's a debt-free way to get month-to-month access to a new EV. You can even pay with your credit card. Learn more at autonomy.com. If you got in an accident, choose the law firm with the experience to win. Choose to still be admired. You hear what's happening here. Now you can see it too. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at KFI AM 640. Everywhere on the iHeart Radio app. An update on a story that broke overnight was that Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell had to go to a hospital in D.C. after his trip had a private dinner at a local hotel. He's 81 years old. He was admitted to the hospital, and we just got an update. They said that he'll probably stay there for a few days to be treated for a concussion as a result of the fall.
What did happen there?
81 happens. Sometimes your feet don't work. I don't know.
Yeah.
My theory, you shot it down early on. I said he was tap dancing on top of the table. The table may have given way, but I don't.
I like your fan fiction. I just don't think that it is very close to any sort of fact.
Jenna Ellis, one of the lawyers who represented President Trump after his loss in 2020, admitted in a sworn statement released yesterday he knowingly misrepresented the facts in several of her public claims that it was widespread voting fraud that led to the loss. The admissions by Jenna Ellis were part of an agreement to accept public censure and settle disciplinary measures that were brought against her by state bar officials in her home state of Colorado. And then finally, we may see a strike at Saturday Night Live, which means it might go unnoticed. Some of the post-production editors behind Saturday Night Live say they will strike. They set a deadline for April 1st. They want an agreement with the producer, NBC Universal. They said 12-20 editing crew members have announced that they intend to stop work and disrupt the show if they can't get some agreement in the bargaining session, part of IOPSI Local 700.
In other entertainment news, the final group of presenters have been announced today for the Oscars on Sunday. But that was a thing?
Yeah,
I didn't know that either. Apparently they released the presenters, they piecemeal it in terms of announcements. Harrison Ford, John Travolta, and Halle Berry were among the final group of presenters.
It's been like they've been around for a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gavin Newsom tested positive for COVID, which doesn't really impact anybody but Gavin Newsom and his kids and wife. So he's going to isolate for 5 days. He's still got his big planned listening tour, whatever he's doing instead of his State of the State address that he's not going to give this year. He's doing his listening tour next week. There was supposed to be a news conference today, we believe.
It's so funny. It's like, this way he gets to say, like, look at me, I'm not showboating. I'm not grabbing the spotlight. I'm not running for president. But that's just what he's peddling. The reason he's not doing the State of the State address is because that is a treasure trove for the opposition when he does run for president. Having him talk about California in glowing terms and how well the state's doing, superimposed on images of Skid Row, people shooting up on the BART trains in San Francisco, all of it would not be a good image. I mean, you've got the LADA's office out here this morning sending an email to its employees that it's going to contract for a firm to provide security for them to walk to their cars in the Civic Center area, because that's how dangerous it is. Just a reminder, we live in the United States of America. We don't live in a third world country where that could be a reality.
But we live in LA County.
This is basically a third world country. Yeah.
So Gavin Newsom earlier this week said that California would be done doing business with Walgreens. The drugstore chain said it's not going to sell the abortion pill in states with legal restrictions. The contract that Gavin Newsom was speaking of, and by the way, nobody knew this when he said it, apparently, because news organizations tried to get the governor's office to say something specific about what does it mean when he says, we're done with Walgreens. So Gavin Newsom, COVID positive, did not answer these questions, but Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kudalakis did. So what are we going to do? What does it mean that we're done with Walgreens?
Well, let's just be clear that they came out today saying that they were not going to be selling mifepristone in 21 states in the United States, and it was not because it was not legal, but pressure from Attorney General. And so the governor responded very clearly and said, look, if that's the position you're going to take in those 21 states, California is the size of 21 states combined with almost 40 million people, and we're just not interested in doing business with companies that will bow to that kind of pressure and put women's lives at risk.
Okay. You're afraid that they're bowing to pressure.
And we're just not interested in doing business with companies that will bow to that kind of pressure and put women's lives at risk.
Isn't that exactly what the state is pressuring Walgreens to do by removing a $54 million contract, or at least not renewing it? I don't understand that. You're saying you don't want Walgreens to bow to pressure, and then you put pressure on Walgreens.
Well, where does it end? Walgreens isn't the only company that has a firm stance when it comes to abortion. So there are a number of companies in this state that do not agree with the governor on it. Selective outrage, exactly.
To use terms. Walgreens also says they're deeply disappointed in this, and this is a statement from Walgreens. They're facing the same circumstances as all retail pharmacies. No other retail pharmacies have said that they would approach this situation differently. So it's unclear where this contract would now be moved, because they're all in the same boat, basically, and goes on. Our position has always been that once we are certified by the FDA, Walgreens plans to dispense mifepristone in any jurisdiction where it is legally permissible to do so, including in the state of California.
I feel like there's got to be more to this than we know. I don't know why you would pick one company to go after.
To make an example,
What would the Chick-fil-A out of the state?
don't give them any ideas.
You know what I mean? No, well, it's a slippery slope.
But that doesn't mean that they put a lot of thought into this. I mean,
not that they're taking Walgreens out of state. I understand that they're just canceling their contract that they have, but I'm sure they've got contracts with other companies that are going to have to go through the same kind of review.
they're going to have to go through this. FDA in January did allow retail pharmacies like Walgreens to sell mifepristone as long as they become certified under an agency program that monitors how the pill is used and distributed. Walgreens, CVS, they said they plan to become certified under that program. But 12 states have banned abortion, obviously, since the Dobbs decision. Several other states now have tighter restrictions when it comes to mifepristone than the FDA does. And Walgreens is not selling the abortion pill in states like Alaska, Kansas, and Montana, where abortion is protected as a right under the state's constitution. But Alaska requires patients to get the pill from a doctor, not the drugstore. In Kansas, they require patients to get the pill in person from a doctor. In Montana, there's a requirement that patients visit a doctor to get mifepristone. It's also temporarily blocked by a court. So that's what the plan is, I should say, also temporarily blocked by a court. They have very clearly said, in a place where it's legal, we will sell it. We're just not by the FDA to do so yet. So I don't understand. Gavin Newsom jumped the shark, jumped the gun here in terms of putting out this big tough guy tweet that he's protecting all the lives of girls and women throughout the state of California and the United States, or does it make sense? It's just a strange version.
We've got hunters thrown aboard a Southwest plane in Dallas, and we've got passengers who had to call the police to rescue them because they were left out on the tarmac for so long. What does that sound like?
Terrible. Yeah.
You see the acronym I've been using?
I don't like it. You start it out with
I know, but it's fun, huh? Terry and Shannon will return. Deborah Marks in the KFI 2 Eastern. President Biden will be in San Diego Monday. He will be in Monterey Park Tuesday, where a shooter killed 11 people in a dance studio during a Lunar New Year celebration in January. Governor Newsom has tested positive for COVID-19 following a visit to Chicago. He returned Sunday. His office says he has mild symptoms and will be working from home for the last 5 days. South Korea's military says it is detected that North Korea fired a short-range ballistic missile toward waters off its western coast. There's no immediate assessment of how far that missile flew. We're going to the 405 next.
Here is an upsetting issue. You pay your homeowner's insurance premium like you're supposed to. You're an adult. And then something childish happens. A broken pipe, the toilet overflows, something. You can open a claim with a homeowner's insurance company to repair that damage. But probably going to find out they're going to pay you very little. So this is when you call Avner Gas, because Avner Gas is a public insurance adjuster. That means Avner is on your side. If you try to negotiate by yourself, you're going to find out pretty quickly it's not that easy. But Avner Gas will negotiate on your behalf to make sure that you are getting the best possible outcome, not the insurance company. In fact, he and his team have been dealing with insurance companies for years. It is all they do. They're rated 5 stars on Yelp, Google, Better Business Bureau. No one messes around with Avner Gas in this city. So give Avner a call. Call him directly, as a matter of fact. 818-917-5256. 818-917-5256. Or visit AvnerGas.com. AVNERGOT. That's AvnerGas.com. Or call him directly. 818-917-5256.
Southland weather from KFI, partly cloudy, highs mid-60s to low 70s. This report brought to you by blinds.com. From the Southern California Toyota dealer stop at Center Lake Go Place, we're going to the 405 in West LA.
Nope, I'm sorry, you're saying Monica Boulevard. There was a wreck in the lane. That lane's off the freeway now, but still seeing the social lane driving for you on the northbound 405. It's going to be heavy delays for you on the south bay. Coming away from the far bank as Artesia Boulevard. You know, it's on the 405 and real active with flowing for you throughout. Southbound side of the 405, like it's still pretty solid for you, even in the Dan I get it from before Big Street Boulevard, coming out of the San Fernando Valley, you play back to West LA towards the Sunset. KFI in the South, Super Bowl Bastard. I'm with Kyle. This recording sponsored by Blindster.com. Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. If you're like many people, you may think custom blinds is a job for expensive professionals. Well, at Blindster, if you have a tape measure and a screwdriver, you can install our custom blinds and save big. Plus, we guarantee they'll fit. Blindster.com. On IQ's Daily Game Podcast, the cultural icon unveils words of wisdom and motivational quotes he's collected over the years. No punches are pulled, as Ice shares a special brand of profound and brutal honesty on topics like romance, success, failure, and more. You can't sit back and say, I'm going to win this game and not go to practice. You still got to play that game. Faith and your mind is just not going to make it happen. Listen to IQ's Daily Game on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcast. Hey, Ken, did you know that gold is the only currency that tells its value fixed the dawn of money? Well, actually I did. Thanks to the folks at Legacy Precious Metals, the most trusted name in gold investing. Investing in gold protects you from inflation and gives you a hedge against stock market volatility. You know, right now the economy, man, chaotic, inflation, recession. That's why it's more important than ever to have a diversified portfolio. That is true. For those starting out or worried about retirement, that's something you should navigate alone. No, it's not. That's why Legacy Precious Metals offers honest, patient advice based on your personal financial situation. Don't leave your retirement to chance. Protect your finances, your family, your future. Call Legacy Precious Metals today at 866-691-2173. That's 866-691-2173. Or download your free investment guide now at buylegacygold.com. That's
by legacygold.com. Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Want to save big on custom forward blinds, shutters, cellular shades, and more? Shop Blindster today and save up to 50% over comparable blinds from brick and mortar stores. Get custom blinds at low prices and free shipping at Blindster.com. Win Las Vegas welcomes you to Awakening, a new theatrical experience created by award-winning artists. Enriched by spectacular sound, meet colorful characters, and journey with them through wondrous realms. Experience Awakening. Get your tickets at awakening.com. Light season is here. You have so many choices at Stater Brothers. With our fresh seafood catches, Full Circle Market wild caught fish fillets, and plant-based protein. And don't forget our Stater Brothers shrimp. Grab some today and grill some tonight.
No one has the same taste as you. Stay on right from the music you love to the podcast you can't live without. And only the iHeartRadio app has it all for free. Download the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts.
I believe that every human behavior is designed to attract a mate, keep a mate, expel a mate, or have the reproductive odds. That's why I talk about the science of love, sex, parenting, family, workplace relationships. It's what I think and believe all day long. How about Dr. Wendy's After Dark?
Dr. Wendy Sunday night at 7 on KFR and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
Okay, TRILLIONAIRE has been in the news recently, right? Because of the movie that came out.
Here in Tammy, KFIN 45 everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Elizabeth Banks directed TRILLIONAIRE. It's kind of a action, comedy, thriller, horror movie about the bear that gets into a bunch of bricks of cocaine that were dropped from a plane back in the 80s, and kind of takes liberties with it in the movie about what exactly happened after the bear ingested the cocaine. Well, now we've got cocaine cats. A wild big cat found and captured in Ohio has cocaine in its system. Officials in Ohio said responded to reports of a leopard stuck in a tree, and when they got there, they found an African cat, which is illegal to own in the state. Cincinnati Animal Care took the animal for DNA and narcotics testing. I don't know why you test it for narcotics, but okay. And it tested positive for cocaine exposure. They named it Amory, but saying treatment at review. There are no reports of the cat killing anyone.
Would they just tested for chemicals, and it turns out that it was cocaine?
I don't know.
It's typically for narcotics, but you're right, that just seems weird.
It's unclear how the cat got into the cocaine, but they have found the animal's owner who is cooperating with the investigation. And I guess that will lead them to the cocaine.
We'll talk Swamp Walk at the top of the hour, including updates on a couple senators who are in the hospital. Mitch McConnell, Kristen fell last night after a tap dance recital at a hotel there in D.C., and then also John Fetterman, the Pennsylvania senator, still in the hospital being treated for clinical depression. But it's time for Terry. Right, 209, you're clear to take off. Roger, get off my plane. Roger, Roger, whatever, Victor. Enough is enough. I have had it with these monkey-fighting scripts on this monkey-fighting. It's Gary and Shannon. General in the sky. Stay up on it. Well, who doesn't love a good Southwest brawl? This one in Dallas, the passenger unleashed a torrent of punches onto another passenger. They were headed from ROTHSCHILD in Dallas to Phoenix, Sky Harbor International, when a man in a tan blazer, what's the description, stood over a heavily tattooed man and started coming. The grandmotherly voice out of the entire plane is like, no!
Anytime ROTHSCHILD or Dallas-Fort Worth comes up, I feel the need to give the PSA that there are 2 airports in Dallas. Make sure you know which one you're flying out of, because I have made the mistake not once, but twice.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But no, wait, maybe one of it was one time in Dallas, one time in Houston, where there's also Houston Hobby and then George Bush International. Texas in your airport, am I right?
Apparently what happened was, at the gate, before they boarded the plane, the guy with the tattoos accidentally bumped into the wife of the guy who eventually attacked him. One of the witnesses said the Blazer guy just kind of lost her, snappy, triggered by that. People waiting said that the Blazer guy started mouthing off him after the bump outside the plane, and he just ignored him. Other people had to jump in, of course, and I pointed out the guy with the tattoos who was on the receiving end of all those hands was not wearing shoes on the airplane.
People's behavior in airports and on planes is just, it's deteriorated.
What we're doing with that?
Yeah, it's really bad. I mean, I recently was at an airport and I ordered a pesto pizza, and the woman sits down next to me and she's going about her business. I'm watching something on the phone or whatever. I have my headphones on. And the food's taking a long time to come out. I'm like, this is weird. Like, for the airport, usually they get it out quick because they know you've got a flight to catch. So I'm waiting. I'm like, this is weird. I see she's eating over there. And I'm like, huh, she got here after me. It's weird. The woman, waitress, comes out a little bit after, and she goes, oh, here's your burrata salad. And I go, I didn't order a burrata salad. And the woman next to me goes, oh, maybe that's what I got. Maybe I got yours. Well, it's good anyway. And the waitress goes, well, do you want the burrata salad? The woman goes, no. And then she looks at me and she goes, oh, sorry, I guess I took yours. And I'm thinking, who does that? Like, you order something and then something else comes and they just eat it anyway. What did you think that maybe an order got mixed up somehow?
You know, there's not even a recognition.
Right.
You ordered something else.
Right. It's just bizarre. It's like, you don't leave like that. It's just odd.
I have an odd follow to this story as well. So the fight that took place, on this plane, Caitlin Johnson is a speech language pathologist in Arizona who was a few rows behind the fight. He was the one who was apparently witnessing the whole thing. He reached out to the man in the tan blazer via his Instagram. How do you know who the hell the guy is to just find his Instagram handle?
No idea.
He apologized. He wrote, according to a screen cap. I like that. He took over Instagram chat. He said, I'm not proud of my actions. That he is teaching Catholic and urged any youngsters who saw the video to, quote, please walk away, because violence is not the answer.
Why would you reach out to the guy? I don't know. People are bizarre. A group of airline passengers were forced to call 911 to get police to rescue them. They were held on board a plane for nearly 6 hours. It was a weather-related diversion to Fort Lauderdale. Now, if I was stuck in Fort Lauderdale for 6 hours, I'd be calling 911 too.
Whether you are a plane or not.
Exactly. This was Eurowings flight EW1182 from Düsseldorf to Miami. Forced to divert to Fort Lauderdale after bad weather. Once on the ground, the plane was sent to a remote part of the airfield where the crew requested permission to deplane passengers via buses to the terminal. And the problem is the Customs and Border Patrol will only allow passengers to deplane if their checked luggage could also be offloaded. There were no luggage handlers available, so they were forced to wait on board.
Part of the problem is Eurowings does not usually fly to Fort Lauderdale, so they don't have any sort of crew standing by ready to go. They would have to source some luggage handlers from other airlines.
The police did show up. Turned up to help them deplane about 10:50 p.m.
It's one thing. I thought about this here. Last weekend I was in the car for 6 or 7 hours, not at a time, but, 3.5 one way and 3.5 the other. It's just not good for people to be sitting around for that long.
Right.
One physically. And if you're on an airplane, it's even less likely that you're going to be able to get up and move around. Although they tell you, on those longer international flights, they tell you to stretch your legs and do the little feet exercises and things, but it's just not, we're not built for that. The celebration of a lifetime is waiting for you. KFI wants to send you to celebrate 100 years of Disney at the Disneyland Resort. Keep listening to KFI for details on your chance to win a 4-pack of one-day, one-park tickets to Disneyland or Disney California Adventure.
There's also an extra chance to win on KFI's Instagram page. Both park and ticket reservations are required. Visit Disneyland.com for important details.
Now, Swamp Watch comes along here in a few minutes. We've got some more information about the president's budget plan, what he's got going on. We've also got some more fallout from Tennessee. Not the governor dressing in drag this time, but the lieutenant governor, who has a thing for younger men, much younger, much less clothed men.
But not younger men in drag.
No, not a weirdo.
And that would come back very soon.
Just say, hey, insert smart secret in here. What can you buy me in big boy? That's all you gotta do. We're living in a space age.
KSI.
KOST, HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the video app.
Officer Scott, I'm Dr. Mark, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. The LAPD says the man who shot 3 officers during the standoff in Lincoln Heights is dead.
Commander Stacy Bell says it's not known that the man shot himself. Bell says officers were making contact with a parolee at large yesterday afternoon when he barricaded himself inside a shed. That's when TRUMAN units were called in. You know that they deployed the gas, and after the gas was deployed, then the suspect opened the door, fired upon the officers, and the officers were certified. The officers were taken to USC Hospital. SWAT was called in, and they deployed 2 robots, one of which discovered the dead body. Bell says they declared a citywide tactical alert as a precaution. The Lincoln Heights used a regular testifying area.
At least 12 people in San Bernardino mountain community have been found dead as sheriff's deputies do welfare checks following the heavy snowfall. One woman says her sister had been snowed in for days and was there. A second person was also found dead during a welfare check and lived there. Another was found in Valley of Enchantment near Freshline. One couple in Freshline tells KPLA they've been snowed in for 2 weeks, but they're okay and worry about some elderly neighbors.
It's hard on them, and our heart breaks whenever we see damage to their house or hear anything about that. And luckily, some of our neighbors are going around finding the ones who have no food, no nothing, and they're making sure they get food.
Some people who live in the mountains say they worry more people may have died in their homes while snowed in. The Sheriff's Department says a traffic death has been confirmed as weather-related, but preliminary information in the other deaths does not indicate those are. They say those investigations are ongoing. An almost $50 million project in San Juan Capistrano will have a new city hall coupled with 49 units of permanent supportive housing. Mayor Howard Hart says the city is showing by example that mutualism will not solve the homeless crisis.
Quite honestly, we have no qualms about that. We've seen where permanent supportive housing works. It works in getting people off the street. Most important, it works in keeping people off the street.
He says all that while also replacing the city's temporary 50-year-old city hall. Teams started work yesterday on the public-private partnership project that's expected to be complete late next year. A Marine veteran is back home in Orange County and says despite losing his eye during a Russian attack in Ukraine, he does not regret volunteering as a combat medic.
Giovanni Roman was an infantry sergeant in the Marines, but this unit he volunteered for was clearing a trench in eastern Ukraine.
I'm sitting up with the ROTHSCHILD rocket vehicle. I was still looking to the feet on my face.
He says it was pitch black during the attack on Valentine's Day. Someone in the Humvee was recorded.
I saw the blood in the blood and
Unit finally moved it to a Ukrainian hospital.
taking off my dress and my clothes. I was so vulnerable in that moment. We initially see coming off. I still have that moment right now. I was close out there. I had my little baby.
And this was the second time Roman went to Ukraine since the war started.
Why did he do that? Why? Because, we have it so good here, thank God. On the other side of the world, one country that they're fighting for taking this country to rally. And they're bombing civilians, they're bombing regular normal people like that. I can't sit here watching it from my good life here with my mom, my family.
So he took time off his job at an emergency room in Orange County, bought thousands of dollars of battlefield medical supplies for others and a plane ticket.
Why wouldn't you help someone please?
Roman's headed for a third surgery. To help out, head to GoFundMe and search Help Heal Recover. At an undisclosed hospital in Orange County, 4 big car KFI News.
And Norfolk Southern CEO has apologized before Congress for that fiery hazardous materials train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. West Virginia Republican Senator Shelley Moore Capito is also placing blame for the derailment on the EPA for how long it took for the agency to give the public accurate data. You can't address fear in this trust by pointing residents to an EPA website filled with fact sheets and press releases. He says risk communications need to be done in a clear but compassionate, relatable manner. No one was hurt in the derailment last month. Nearly half the residents in East Palestine were evacuated after officials conducted a controlled release of toxins from the train. Another Norfolk Southern train derailed in Alabama this morning, and no one was hurt. The KFI Financial Update is sponsored by Jacoby and Myers Injury Attorneys. The Dow is down 269, S&P 500 down 40, NASDAQ down 145, and the average price per gallon of regular gas in California has gone up another penny. It is $4.93. Don't wait. Maximize your compensation after an accident. Call Jacoby and Myers now. Texas for you since 1972. Southland weather from KFI, partly cloudy with highs in the mid-60s to around 70 for Metro LA. Mid-60s to around 70 also for the San Gabriel and San Fernando valleys. Low to mid-60s in the Antelope Valley, upper 60s inland Orange County. Upper 60s to low 70s in the Inland Empire. The rain starts overnight and it will be a rainy Friday. Right now, 62 in Orange, 64 Buena Park, 58 in Gore Hills, and 62 in Sherman Oaks. From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Shopping Center, let's go places. We're going to the crash on the 605 and Chico Rivera. So the 605 southbound right of Washington here. It is clearing over the right shoulder, but it's going to be slow from Beverly Boulevard down to the 5. In Commerce on the 5, north right of Garfield, hit and run over on the shoulder. You're hitting the brakes on the 605 all the way up to the 10. Heads up in Paramount, 710 north to the 105 west connector. Trash can in the right lane. Sherman Oaks, the 101 south end, over the Boulevard. Then a right over to be a good clearing to the shoulder. In Burbank on the 5 south at Burbank Boulevard, that earlier record clear as well. In Anaheim, 91 eastbound to the 5 south connector. The brand new crash, this is blocking the left lane of that transition. Your 91 eastbound, that comes away from Knott Avenue. Into heading to Beaumont on the 10 eastbound, right before you get to Oak Valley Parkway. Had a crash in the lane, they're clearing it, but it's still going to be a slow right there. And you'll find the sky helps get you there faster. I'm getting on it. I'll use that. We don't believe in cold and flu season. We only believe in comeback season, which starts with 12-hour relief. Just one dose of Mucinex PM provides 12 hours of relief for cough and chest congestion day and night. That's 3 times longer than those 4-hour cough liquids. So say goodbye to cold and flu season and hello to comeback season with Mucinex PM. Nothing lasts longer among over-the-counter cold and cough medicine. Get relief that lasts with Mucinex PM. User directed. For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Granger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call quickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Jacob and Ronnie. If you've been in an accident, call 844-24-JACOB.
More stimulating talk.
And I have a radio station.
Everywhere.
There are no reports of injuries or leaks following yet another Norfolk Southern train derailment. Again, this happened, but now they're all making the news. The derailment happened this morning in eastern Alabama. Just hours before the company's CEO testified before lawmakers about the East Palestine, Ohio derailment that led to a toxic spill. Authorities say in this one, about 30 cars came off the tracks. It was the third derailment of the company's train since last month.
Someone claimed